Right. Welcome everyone to the first town hall of 2025 for Illuvium. I hope everyone can hear me all right. I got Kieran here, the co-founder of Illuvium, with me. Sorry for starting a little bit late, guys. We had back-to-back AMAs scheduled, so a little bit of a busy day. But we also have a lot to cover here on the town hall, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. First of all, Kieran, how was your Christmas and New Year's? First, first with the new kid, huh?
Yeah, it was good. We had an excuse to say that if anyone wants to come and see us over Christmas, you got to come and see us. We're going to one family and then the next family, and they're not exactly located very close to each other, so it can be you're pretty much driving the whole of Christmas Day. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah, it
nice to
definitely
just be
is.
at home.
We did that last year, but because my wife was sick, so a little bit different situation. But yeah, cool. Let's get right into this. Basically, you know, I guess the first thing we'll start with that a lot of people have been asking about, you wrote that blog and article about the MMO Lite and Illuvium's general direction for 2025. I doubt everybody here has read it, but I thought it would be good to just kind of go over it and, the general direction that Illuvium's moving in and with Arena and all of that jazz, and basically kind of go through what you wrote down. And, if you guys haven't read it, I would suggest you read it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get Kieran's insights on at least the strategy for 2025, and why the MMO Lite and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So firstly, there's been a lot of retrospection of what we have built over the last 4 years. And, we got to July last year, we launched, and we probably all agreed that things were a little bit undercooked from where we wanted them to be. However, we've been building in the the community's eye, the public eye, whatever you want to call it, and with that comes a bit of pressure. And we expected to be able to launch the entire ecosystem much faster. We said that to the community, and so that pressure was definitely warranted, but it resulted in us probably releasing a little bit too early. So we quickly realized that the overworld, we knew Arena and Gauntlet, only having built the 8-player mode for 2 to 3 months prior to us launching, that was really early, and that was fine. We knew that it was going to be a more popular mode than the 1v1, and so we accepted that, and we believed that it was in a good enough state to go live with that. So I think that was a good decision, but it was more on the overworld side where we didn't have enough content in there. We didn't have enough of the storyline. Yes, we have the diaries that people uncover, but it wasn't the type of immersion that we originally wanted, and certainly not what the community wanted. And we've been talking about things like combat for a long time, and it didn't exist, right? And we accepted that, and we thought, we've got to push this thing out. We quickly realized that after, I would say, like 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, a lot of the players started getting bored of just going into the overworld. It looks amazing. The creatures are amazing. Maybe even a lot of people are saying that the combat is great, but it was missing the hook that people wanted in terms of things like progression systems, storyline, being able to go in with your friends, the multiplayer sort of social aspect. And so we quickly identified all of these things, and started building them immediately. And even some of those things we started building prior to launch because we knew this is going to be a problem. We've got to address it and get these things in quickly. And so, and we were missing things like automated drone runs. That was one where a few months prior to launch, I played the game basically religiously, and for me, I was kind of like, well, we're in Web3, right? Where we should be able to capture as much value as possible from the people that want to spend money, right? Like someone like myself, and there's probably, I would say another 1,000 to 2,000 players out there that are like, I want to capture every single alluvial, and I'm willing to part with a lot of money to do that. And I want to get them in hollow, and I want to get them in dark hollow, right? And but what they're not willing to part with is 10,000 to 30,000 hours. So us not having a path for those that very niche player base. I'm not saying it's all, but about 145,000 people play Overworld since we've launched. I'm saying it's probably 1% to 2% of those people, and we didn't give them a path to spend that money. And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword there. It's in the first instance, if we had, maybe we would be sitting here going, well, things aren't too bad. We're generating a shit ton of revenue. So maybe the game doesn't need a whole bunch of new features because we're earning, the revenue that we thought we would, and that is not the case because we didn't have that path. And so I think it's actually a good thing because it's unveiled that, hey, we need to do a lot of work in this thing, and that's what made us think, okay, what are we actually trying to build towards here? When we add in these features that we've been talking about with the community, the social aspects, being able to do a raid with multiple people instead of it just being you in this, region alone, the ability to interact with NPCs, for them to say, hey, go on this quest, capture these things, bring them back to me, and you receive some kind of reward for that, whether it be inventory or an augment or whatever. That was those things were missing there. We've talked about for over 12 months. We've shown the council what combat looks like. We've now put a little preview out there. We've had that for a long time, and we thought, like, what does this equal if we just add these elements to the overworld, right? And in my opinion, it turns it into a MMO light. And so, if you're looking at both games, one that we launched versus one that has all of those features in it, I think it's pretty logical to say, well, that's a cut down version of basically what you get in an MMO. And so it just made sense for us to change the narrative. And instead of us saying, hey, the overworld's a little bit undercooked and we're going to add a couple of new features, it made sense for us to say, this is a big deal, what we're introducing. These features, these 3 or 4 new features, which will pack in a ton of new content and make it exciting, and the replayability will go up massively. That's actually not just an open world RPG. Right? Like this will turn into an MMO, just a cut down version. And so that's sort of where we got to. And also, in crypto, narrative is everything. And so we wanted to package it up as this exciting new narrative, even though we'd been building this, prior to even launching the existing game.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, that article covers a lot of what you just spoke about. If you guys haven't read it, it's on our website, or it's on X as well, in the X articles. So it's definitely worth diving into. But yeah, so I guess moving on from that, another area of question from a lot of people that comes up a lot, obviously, is, kind of what are your insights on how our runway is looking, and and how does this play tie in with the roadmap, basically, like this MMO light, and the arena features that are coming, and all of that stuff going on.
Yeah, so I was actually just talking about Paul, talking about this to Paul. It's the question that everyone always asks us. It's kind of funny. I don't really see, and I was speaking to Vance about this from Framework, because we always catch up. Uh, it's a weird sort of phenomenon that everyone is very persistent on knowing exactly where our runway's at. I think we're one of the only projects that releases the sort of financial detail that we do. I feel like we're pretty transparent. And he actually made the point. He's like, I don't know what it is with Illuvium, but everyone is always very, very hell bent on, how much runway do you have this month and next month and next month. Whereas in his opinion, other projects are just, they're a little bit, their community is a little bit more uh, just relaxed about that topic. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing that I've noticed myself, but totally sweet, and a very, very valid question. And our plan with that is we have just over 12 months of runway left now. I think it's mid-Feb, but we get below 12 months. And there's some really, really exciting stuff that is coming out that isn't even, based on the MMO, right? The first one being automated drone runs. So we have alluvials that come out in sets, and at a certain time, there is no longer going to be the ability to get an OG ram fire. And when you think about that, imagine if you could just open up Iluvatar's Wave 1 again, just for, say, a week. How many discs do you think would actually be bought because people are trying to get that OG Ramfire, that OG Squiz? It would be insane, right? And the fact is, we're never going to do that. That sort of that idea of alluvials are also in sets, and they're never going to be captured again after a certain point of time. That hasn't been spoken about us. We haven't spoken about that for a long time because we've just been focused on, hey, let's get the games right. But I believe that when we launch this MMO Lite, that should be the change of sets, and it should be fresh characters. Any of the previous ones, you can never capture them again. Now, when you and that's not a guarantee right now. That's just an idea that we're talking about internally. When you combine that with automated drone runs, all of a sudden, someone like me, and I know a bunch of other people in the community, are like, okay, well, if we think this is going to be, still a big hit, and Arena's going to come out, and all of the new features there, and when we start marketing it and there's leaderboards again, we're going to get tens of thousands of people to come in again. All of a sudden you start going, well, I'm going to spend a decent amount of money. It's just we don't have the time to be able to go and spend 10,000 hours. If you take that out, I think we see a large spike in revenue, right? So automated drone runs is one of the features that I'm most excited about, but also getting to that polished state of Arena. We were talking about this yesterday, and you were sort of pitching me, and I hadn't played in the last 2 weeks, and you were like, dude, like it's actually getting pretty good. Like there's a whole bunch of new features that they've introduced, and quality of life stuff. And I went and played 3 games yesterday, and it is getting there. It's definitely a game that I find fun. I always keep on coming back to it since we've launched Gauntlet. I've come back to it over and over and over again. And we're talking about in the next 3 to 4 months introducing really exciting things like region-based augments. We're talking about carousels, spectator modes, tournaments, Like it's all going to come in a very, very short period of time. And if that's the thing that brings the 50, 60,000 players that we've had come into Arena over the last 12 to 18 months, that's a very good position to be in. When you couple that with Overworld generating revenue through automated drone runs, plus the revenues that we're generating through Illuvium Beyond, and you go to investors and say, on top of all of these catalysts that are really, really making the ecosystem a lot more attractive to external investors, we're also reducing our costs. So our runway is being extended just organically through those cost reductions. You package Illuvium up and it starts to look, pretty good. It's either, do I back this team that is shown they're capable of launching games? The amount of projects that Danny and I have invested in our VC company that just don't exist anymore, and they didn't release a product or anything, that is in the back of the minds of VCs. And coming, looking at it and saying, well, this is a very capable team. Yeah, they missed the mark on a few things. There's no doubt on that. But they're a very new team. They've never released a game before. That's gonna happen. And you talk about all of those things that I just mentioned. Plus, you add in that we don't just have 1 million tokens in our treasury anymore. We've got 1.87 million tokens because we've moved across a whole bunch of other ones. And no, I'm not saying we're going to use them all, but we've got a lot more room and flexibility to be able to go and raise money. I think there's a lot of community members that if they got a decent discount, they would want to participate in this raise. I certainly would be interested. And I know a lot of VCs that have already approached me that have said, look, if you give us a good discount now, and I'm like, hey, we've got to introduce all of these things that are going to be that are going to make our project look a lot more attractive, then we'll talk to you. But it's already happening. So that's sort of the strategy for us to go out and raise more money. But there's no doubt for us to be able to release, unless automated drone runs goes absolutely parabolic, I don't see a way forward without us raising more money.
And I tested the feature. I don't know how close automated drone runs are, but I happened to test it yesterday, I think it was. And I was telling Jeremy, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, you're just giving me an easier way to spend more money. Like I already spend too much on Beyond Discs, and then it's like, now I'm going to be able to just get alluvials, so yeah, I think it's definitely an easier method. Yeah, I'm time poor for sure, I do not have time to be doing the overworld runs that I would like to. So yeah, definitely a cool feature to be able to just go out and get those alluvials that you want easily. So looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, so I guess we can start diving into some of these questions. They're pretty much related to everything we just talked about, but a little bit more specific. And then if we have time at the end, guys, we'll bring you guys up to answer some community questions if you do. But this is also all live streamed on our socials and YouTube, so you'll be able to rewatch the recording if you missed any of the beginning. So these first questions are just based on development focus. These first three are from Snuggle Bear. He's here in the audience. How much support will Arena have while Overworld, the MMO Lite, is in development, and can we still expect frequent patches and updates?
Absolutely. So when we talk about not building multiple games simultaneously, we're talking focus, right? Like we already have, and I think I mentioned this, and Roger helped me out with editing the document. We've got live products, right? And I think we fell into this sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a mistake or whatever, but we didn't do enough updates to Beyond, and we had a huge player base there, and not just the player base, how much money they sunk into this product. It deserved not just maintenance, but regular content updates. And I think what we've shown with Wave 3 is a small focus group of devs that worked on that. It was by no means a crazy amount of resources. It was just 4 or 5 people that were, hyper focused on let's make this product better. And it really, really helped. I think everyone can agree that in Wave 3, the different features that you have, it makes it a better experience. And it's going to be the same sort of situation here with Arena, where things like balance patches need to come out. There's always going to need to be maintenance and fixing of bugs and quality of life things. This is by no means, hey, we've delivered Arena and now see you guys later, right? Like we'll come back to this in 3 years, especially not if we're looking at we do these large scale tournaments. We bring in a whole bunch of mainstream content creators that are in that TFT space, and it's received really well. We've got to feel out the market and see what's working and what's not. And if it's working, an Arena is really, really pumping our the amount of players that are coming into the ecosystem. And that in turn means people are buying cosmetics more. The Illuvidex trading has gone through the roof because people are trying to compete in the Leviathan tournaments. We need to be wary of that. And if that happens, then I would say there'll be a little bit more focus on Arena than what is probably intended now. But we also need to be aware that if for whatever reason things don't go as well as what we'd hoped, we have a game that is sitting here in Overworld that, as I said, over 100,000 people have come in and played this and been attracted to the visuals and the graphics. It's got that Pokemon feel. We need to do that justice as well and bring in those elements that are missing, because if that's the final piece of the puzzle, it's almost endless the amount of players that you can bring into that type of game if we get it right. So it's just, I don't want to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. We're very open, we're very flexible, and whatever's working, we will resource allocate accordingly.
And I guess on that same subject of the MMO Lite, is that is that something that we're going to trickle out, or is that going to be like a big drop? Like, is it going to be like MMO Lite's ready? Like, or are those features going to kind of trickle out over time, or is it going to be kind of like a big drop and relaunch of the game, I guess?
So I think we've got the way that I'm looking at it is in terms of externally. And when I talk externally, I mean like outside of our core community, we want that big drop, right? Like when the alpha or the beta of the MMO Lite comes out, we want it to have a huge amount of features that make people think not just what's the potential of this, but this is actually fun, and not have everything. Obviously, that being an alpha or whatever we release, maybe a beta, but having enough that people go, whoa, okay, now I'm paying attention. Like they've added quests in. Maybe they don't have all the quests that I'm hoping for, but you can see the progression there, the different systems that we have, the combat, being able to go in with friends. We want that feeling of like this is a totally different game when people first play. That's externally. Now I think we need to be very smart with how we develop this over time, and that means getting community feedback basically as soon as we can. As long as something isn't broken and it isn't constantly crashing, or there's a bug that means it's unplayable or whatever, we should be looking to get it into the hands of the community sooner rather than later. And I think that means not keeping a version of it available for 6 months, right? I think it should be more exciting than that, more impactful, where we say, you know, over this 7-day period, you can test out these 5 quests that you can go and complete. Right, like that type of thing, and then we take it away. We gather the feedback. Some people say this was insane, stupid, take that out. This was amazing. We love that. Double down on that, and it's more of an iterative process that we go through, and really truly building with the community that we have, because I think we've seen this in the arena game that the yes, we have QA, and yes, we have people internally that are testing the game, building the game, but having an army of thousands of people that give you the feedback straight away, that's very, very valuable. And I think we need to take those lessons into building
Yeah,
the MMO
definitely.
life.
Lots of good insight from the community over the years for sure. Especially in Gauntlet now, because I've been playing with people every day, and you get a lot of good advice from some of these guys that sit there all day on it like a non. So, yeah, I guess we'll just kind of address this real quick since you brought it up, and there's a lot of questions about it right now in the chat. But I mean, I guess with automated, because you brought up automated drone runs, I wasn't going to talk much about them right now, but people are wondering, like how does that? Because the key thing with automated drone runs, you're going to be able to get alluvials without going to the overworld, but where's the demand for the alluvials coming? Like how is that going to fix the demand side of that, basically?
I appreciate Philo in the chat and saying that I still don't realize that there's no reason to farm the overworld. I totally get it right now that the one lever that we have to pull on demand when it comes to the overworld is Leviathan, right? That's obvious. That's the whole entire reason that we came out with Leviathan. The reason that we haven't started pushing Leviathan tournaments and leaderboards and all of the things that are going to make someone go, oh my God, they just won $10,000 prize money. How'd they do it? Well, they had this really good, really high stat Ramfire, and he was lucky enough to be able to incorporate it into his strategy for that game. And he ended up winning the tournament based on, the build that he had. And then 10 other people go, oh my God, I've got to go and get that Ramfire. And then they go and buy them off the marketplace. Like I'm I may be a little bit stupid sometimes, but I'm not mentally impaired. I absolutely know that that's a thing that we need to do. The reason that we haven't is we want the game to be in a really, really good state. As I said, played a few games yesterday. In 1 out of 3 of those games, I crashed. Now, we know what is going to happen when we add rewards. We know what's going to happen when we add tournaments, leaderboards, competitions, all of these things. We absolutely get it. We've done it multiple times. That's why we know there's going to be thousands and thousands of people that come. And for probably 5,000 people in our community, they're going to say, yes, I don't care about the crashes. I just want the rewards, right? Like I've built up these collections of alluvials. I don't care. Let it crash 50 times. But that's not the experience that we want for a general person coming into Illuvium, especially not people coming in for the first time. And so while I can appreciate that you guys, that some people want those things and they want them now, it's better for Illuvium for us to wait until things are much more stable. We have new features that are in, which makes the game much more exciting. There is retention is a huge thing when it comes to arena, and if we have a game that we start marketing, there's a cost to us marketing it. So you might say, well, we'll just bring in more people, right? Who cares if they churn? There's a cost to that, right? And we're balancing a whole bunch of things, cost being one of them. So it makes sense for us to wait a little bit longer. I know it's hard to wait. It doesn't mean that we don't know what we're doing or talking about or don't understand that, hey, if we just add rewards, more people will come. Doesn't take a genius to work that out. But when we do it, we want the game to be in the best state that it can be. And I'm not saying, hey, let's wait 55 years and then it'll be the craziest game you've ever played. But we need to balance it between a few more features, a little bit more stability versus, let's open up the floodgates and start giving away tons and tons of rewards into a game that's, undercooked. So that's why we're waiting on that.
Okay. All right. Let's keep moving along here. I think. I mean, I don't think we have many details around the MMO Lite yet, but I mean, this was just a question from Squawk. Um, will having a team of 8 alluvials still be important in the MMO Lite, or will we just use one alluvial?
I definitely don't think you're going to use one. A lot of these game design decisions haven't been made yet, so I don't want to definitely rule out that there would only be one. But in my opinion, I think there needs to be multiple alluvials that you can bring into the overworld. Whether or not like how you actually use them is a different story. Maybe it's one at a time. I've actually played the version of combat, and I know you have too, Rich. And I think the way they've changed it now to 3 alluvials that you can put out at a time. But I think originally you could put out 8 alluvials, and it was
I think it
pretty
crashed
chaotic.
every
Like,
time I did it. I
first of
think.
all,
Yeah.
yeah, I watched Andre do it himself, so he wasn't crashing, but it was just like this is the most chaotic thing that I've ever seen. So I think there's got to be a happy medium between like too little and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
outright
But like you said,
insane.
a lot of those decisions haven't been made, and they will be over time. So. But all right. Let's see here. Okay, here's from Sir Dexter. So we know you've been improving the arena for 4 months. Why hasn't a Beyond style leaderboard been implemented for the overworld in the meantime? I know we spoke about this before when we were talking about season 3 being changed, the format of season 3. And actually, it's probably something we can cover right now, actually, because I know a lot of people have been asking about season 3, and I know we've covered it a few times. But yeah, so the overworld leaderboard and what's the deal with season 3, basically.
Yeah, so same sort of thing, right? Like we had been waiting to introduce combat, multiplayer, and different quests that we built, and we've already got multiple quests that we could theoretically roll out in Overworld. And so our theory has been similar to Arena, where retention isn't as high as what we'd like in Overworld. So the question is, do you keep on throwing fuel onto the fire and churning through people? Yes, they come in and it looks good for the week, 2 weeks that they're in there, but as soon as you take away the rewards, the churn is there. And so the idea was we wait until we have more features that make it much more sticky and there's a lot more replayability there. And that was why we haven't introduced a leaderboard. How does that fit into the MMO Lite and potentially even the overworld shutting down? That's over to the community. That's something that we need to when we have a little bit more information, which I'm targeting sort of the end of this month, for us to have a pretty comprehensive IIP that says we can do X or we can do Y. Now it's over to the community to decide which one do we do. Do we keep the overworld open completely? Do we keep the overworld open in more of a secret kind of way where only people who understand can access it, or know rather can access it? Or do we, go in a different direction? We'll present that to the council. I'll get their feedback on that IIP. That will then be discussed in an open forum with the community. And I know there's people right now who are like, do not close that Overworld. Like, I fully get it. Again, it's a similar situation to those who are like, we demand rewards in season 3 now, versus other people who are a little bit more I would say open to like, hey, we, more, I would say more like ILV investors, right? Like they own the token and they're like, hey, we get retention isn't here. So this is better for the token price. If we wait a little bit, get the games better, then introduce rewards because we'll keep those players. We don't have to keep on spending more and more money. There's a lot of cohorts inside of Illuvium, and then you've got landholders as well. And so we'll open this up to all of the different player bases inside the ecosystem, and we'll churn it out. We'll see what do we want to do as a community, and then after all the discussions are tabled, we will then put that to the council, and it'll go to vote, and that's the democratic uh, situation that we're in, and we as labs will adhere to the council's decision on what we do.
Yeah, so I guess the next question, I'm assuming, I mean, it's based on all the same stuff you've just gone over. Basically, they're just wondering about the development of Taiga Boreal, Halcyon, the other overworld regions, essentially. But I mean, even if Taiga was done, obviously, which I know it's pretty close. I played it so a few times. So, but I mean, I think this all ties back
Yeah.
into things being released when they're ready, right? Especially with the MMO Lite coming. So.
Yeah, so that's one of the things where there's gonna be some topology updates and definitely some changes to the environment in order for us to have things like uh, quests that involve raiding a Leviathan and multiplayer and certainly combat as well. And we've already been doing a bunch of updates to the environment. But I believe that because we've done so much development on other regions, that's one of the things where we can say when we launch the MMO Lite, that is brand new content. That we've never shown anyone before. We've shown a lot of leaks, but no one's ever played it before. I think keeping that up our sleeve and not leaking that out. Like, let's say the community says, yes, we want to keep the overworld open for whatever reason. That's totally fine. I don't think we should go and release Tiger Boreal. I think we should keep that up our sleeve. So when people do experience the MMO Lite, that's just another thing where they're like, "Whoa, I've never ever seen this region before." I think that's going to
Yeah.
be a big
And that region is massive. Like just on a scale. I don't know if you've played it, but yeah, like the region's absolutely massive. Very cool map. Um, okay, so tying into that actually, because you mentioned raids and Philo asked, what is your overall vision for raids? How many players would be able to participate? What kind of rewards would come from Leviathan battles? And I guess this is more of like, yeah, just your vision, not the exact game design, because as we said, that's not fully completed yet. But how would you see it playing out?
Me personally, it's getting a little bit dangerous, but I want it to be similar to the OG World of Warcraft, where you're getting loot that drops. You've got to share that around the group that you go in with. Ideally, you have people that are collaborative, that understand like this person should receive this type of loot, this person should get that, or this person is actually vying for this, and therefore we're going to go in and help them out, and they don't like steal it and stuff like that. So I think for me it's all about the social aspect. It's all about the competition. I think we need it to be not crazy. I'm very wary that this is going to be an MMO light, and it's going to be a cut down version. So, if there's a situation where we can't have as many people going into the raid as your typical large scale MMO, that's fine. But I think that style of raids is what I would be looking for personally. However, I'm not going to be the game designer on this, and this is probably a good time to mention this. We've got Aaron in the future is going to be hyper focused on Arena and building out all of the new features for that. And when it comes to the MMO, we don't have any of our game designers that have any MMO experience. It was kind of a unique situation with Aaron where he was or not was he is such a massive fan and player of TFT. He understands every single mechanic inside of that game, what works, what doesn't work, and he's been in that scene for so long that yes, he previously hadn't developed an auto battler, but because he had so much knowledge and experience playing it, it sort of was a natural step. When it comes to the MMO, we are going to find a game director, Luke, who is our head of recruitment. He is already on the case, and we've got some really good candidates there. We're looking for someone that has been like previous EverQuest or Guild Wars or World of Warcraft, someone that is that has been building MMOs for a long time, potentially not, a director or whatever, but someone that's been a game designer that has that experience, and they will come in and they will be the game director of the MMO, and it sort of also leans into this not splitting uh, different focuses for different people. The game designers, a lot of the time, they will work on Arena, then they'll have to switch, and then they're working on Zero, and then they're working on like how should Beyond function. And it's again very chaotic, and it's very hard to take your one hat off and put the next one on. So by having Aaron focus solely on Arena and this new game director solely on the MMO, yes, there needs to be a lot of knowledge because it's an interoperable game that does have features that incorporate across different genres. But for the most part, we want them to be able to just come in, lock in, understand the progression systems that we have, and or that we want to have built. And yeah, I think that's very exciting for us to be able to bring someone in with a wealth of experience. And I'm certainly looking forward to sitting down with them and listening to where they think we should take this vision
Yeah.
and the
I
IP.
mean, me and you were even talking about it the other day about like we wanted to play a good MMO that's out right now, and yeah, I don't know. Nothing I found was super interesting to me, at least currently. I know I've talked to some people. I don't think Path of Exile is a actual MMO. Like I talked to some people that are really enjoying it, but yeah, I haven't found anything this year. So like yeah, looking forward to hearing from a new game designer, about how this is going to look because it should be cool. But also, like, there's a few more questions about this as far as like game design questions and how it's going to work. But I'll tell you what, guys, we're probably just going to skip over those, and then we'll have another town hall once this is more sorted out about the MMO Lite. I'm sure we'll probably have some document that we'll present, like you said, Kieran, about it, and so we'll kind of table those questions and we'll kind of bring it back into what's going on now. And yeah, because there were several questions about the MMO Lite, and yeah, we'll let you guys know when that town hall will be, and I'm sure you guys will get more information by then. So yeah, we'll kind of circle back to some other questions, I guess. Here on the economy and like fuel. So, will upcoming monetization, this is from Shady or Muffin Man, will upcoming monetization changes include a new in game currency, and how will this affect landholders or landowners and in game expenditures?
So again, it's sort of the economy questions are touching a little bit on game design as well, but there is going to be, and I need to be a little bit careful with what I say here, but uh, let me just say that there has been in the works for quite some time now to uh, make the fuel system much more efficient, and that will then tie into the MMO. It ties into every single product that we have, where you can spend money, and so yeah, the fuel system
Okay. Yeah.
will change.
Yeah.
Is all
Good
I'll
deal. Good deal.
say there.
Um, all right. What about I guess then I don't know if we can answer this either. Then the bonus fuel system that'll be removed at some point. I'm guessing. Like I know we if you okay.
No comment.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, then let's just move on here to, I guess, the next questions are more. I mean, there's a lot of economy questions about the MMO Lite, and then how about this one? Um, why aren't we focusing and I guess you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but people are kind of wondering, why haven't we focused more on TFT markets like, APAC, China, Japan, those areas, Tokyo, to bring more people into the arena currently. But I think you touched on it mainly, about the current state that it's in.
Yeah, look, I fully get it, right? Like if you're playing the game, you you sort of get a little bit blind to the things that are missing, right? And I always try. I love playing TFT as well, and so I always when we actually when we introduced the Ranger originally, I was like, fuck this. I was loving the game prior to the Ranger being introduced. And when it came out, and I was open about this, if you saw me playing in the general chat, I was like, no, it's too complicated again, too many things you need to think about. You know, I'm out. And so I started playing TFT again. And I know there's been so much discussion. I put forward a proposal. A bunch of other people have put forward proposals to simplify how the Ranger is actually used. But I ended up going back to TFT, and then I was kind of like, wow, okay, like not only is the like stability issues, the just the smoothness of gameplay, like things like the controls, the UI, it's a lot more clicky, it's just reactive, it's fast. Uh then on top, that's not even talking about like feature set wise, where when you first go into the game, you're all like voting on which region you want to go to, or which global augment you want to use. The carousel is such a really awesome catch up feature. You sort of go, oh, okay, like shit. They do have a lot more, and yes, they've got 7 years of development on us, but it opens your eyes and you're like, well, I've been playing Illuvium for the last 3 months straight. That's all I've played. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is what the competition is. It makes you realize, like, do we really want to be going out to mainstream TFT players this early? Right? Like if we're truly holding ourselves accountable and being realistic, the answer is no. Right? Now that's going to change. We've got with the multiplayer servers coming out, that's going to fix a lot of the stability issues, a lot of the polish, the snappiness of moving characters around, and misclicking won't happen as much, and like all of those things that just piss you off, right? Like they're just like, I'm mid game. Like I know you the other day, you came to me and you were raging. You're like, I was winning and then I got disconnected and I'm trying to come back. Like it's very, very hard to get like you're fine. You work here. Even if you didn't, you're in the community. You understand what's being built. A brand new player, in China or Japan or wherever, it doesn't matter what market, a brand new player that comes in and experiences that, they're going to go, fuck that, I'm going back to TFT. And we need to find that balance of, no, we can't be as good as TFT when we first switch the tap on, right? Like I'm not saying we need to be at that level, but there are so many things that are coming in the next 3 to 4 months that make it twice as good, triple as good. And you don't the point I'm trying to make here is, you don't really know until, like, when I came back to our game after yesterday, after not playing for a month or whatever it was, I was like, whoa, okay, this is actually pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of new features here. And you were like, whoa, yeah, didn't you know about this? And I was like, well, no, I didn't. And that's the type of thing where we just got to get as close to good as possible, and then we turn the tap on, right? We don't have forever, but when we turn that tap on, we really want people to go, like, I see the potential of this game. This is an awesome experience with the IP. And as soon as we're at that point, I promise you, like, without a doubt, there will be fuckloads of leaderboard rewards for you to earn. There'll be lots of tournaments, like lots and lots of tournaments. There'll be so many different marketing campaigns that we do where we bring in content. If we find that content creators are getting a good reception, we're not going to go, oh, well, we did that, see you later. We're going to say, let's go again. Let's do more events. Let's get more and more people into this game. So please don't look at it and think like they just have forgotten about it. How could they have done that? Like, that seems like we live this. This is how, every single day, 12 to 15 hours a day, this is what we live. So, we get it, but we've just got to be strategic.
And to clarify, I don't know if I was winning, but I was doing well. Okay. And then I got disconnected like 4 times, and then I just rage quit. So, but yeah, I was doing well. Somebody called me out for actually winning, so I figured I'd clear that up. But but yeah, it was also,
I
it was
didn't
also
win.
about magnetic remover. So yeah, another cool feature. And that's the thing, is like, just where the game is at compared to when we first released Gauntlet to now, it's like much more fun now than it even was then, and it's only been improving. So in another 3 months, I don't doubt that it can be in a 100% better place. Like a team's doing very well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so next up, I guess some people there's a lot of questions about this, so we'll leave it for last, basically about the partnership that we just announced yesterday. But another question, just based on project advisors, like, are there a lot of project advisors that you're talking to in general, and like what kind of value are they adding to help us get through these issues that we've spoken about today? Or I guess I know you spoke about Vance, and yeah.
Yeah, so look, it's, as a council member, the way that we've set up the advisory is, the council has access to those advisors whenever they would like. They've got a direct line to them. They've also got conversations inside of Discord, which are gated to just the council members. They can ask questions whenever they want on any topic. Hey, should we be switching to an MMO Lite? Should we be doing this virtuals partnership? Like, or what's your opinion on it? There's this IIP that's come out. What do you think about this? Should I vote yes? Should I vote no? All of these things the council has access to, and there's like 18 different advisors. I think as well, we've been talking about setting up the advisory for esports. I don't know where that's at. I think that got approved, and that
I
should
got to work on
be
that with Scrubba still.
happening.
I think he was working on the form for it. Yeah, but we need to get that taken care of. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's another situation where, for me personally, I set that up, that governance V3, is it? We're at V3? Yes, V3. I set that up to make it more formal and official for the council members to have access to these advisors. me personally, on probably a daily basis, I'm going to someone. Like 3 days ago, I went and saw Kane about this partnership with Virtuals and where we should go with this. And he's not even an official advisor, someone who has a wealth of knowledge, understands different, narratives, has been in multiple different protocols. And I went out and saw him and I was like, hey, I need to know, like, what do you think about this? What would you do? How do you think we should approach it? Like all of these different things. I do this on a weekly basis with probably 10 to 15 different individuals to check, is this right? This is my opinion, what's yours? And sanity check it. I know that, I'm a little bit insane, so it's good to get an external opinion. And yeah, I'm constantly doing that. So for me, our advisors are amazing. They're great. They don't charge us anything. They do it out of goodwill because, I try and help out where I can to other projects. And so a lot of founders and, big personalities, content creators, investors, they understand that that's a very give and take economy. And so I get a lot of value out of that. In terms of the other council members, you'd need to ask them.
Which you guys all have access to all the council members, so you can feel free to ask them how often they're interacting. But yeah, I've seen them chat to them, from time to time. So, but yeah, so I guess on the virtuals partnership, since you mentioned it, there's a slew of questions, and I guess it depends on what you want to cover. I was also going to say that there is a AMA you're going to be in tomorrow with them, or a X space, right? That you're joining with them tomorrow. So you could cover a lot there. You can cover some here. I kind of have like a little bit of a hard stop in like 10, 15 minutes. Like I got to go get my daughter. So yeah, if you want to jump into the virtuals partnership a little bit, or we could start fielding some questions from the community. I'll kind of leave that part up to you. But
Sure. So basically, I've been working with these guys. Actually, this is one of those situations where I helped them out 4 years ago when they were pathed out. Maybe some of you guys remember pathed out. Sorry, I'm just looking at this frog that capacitor is. It's pretty funny in the chat. But no, so I helped them out with getting investors, some partnerships early on with other games and stuff like that. And very, very smart group of individuals. It was a kind of a smallish team back then. And they were like many of the different guilds out there, similar to how Merit Circle pivoted into Beam. These guys pivoted into AI tech. And they didn't know where they were sort of going to take it. And eventually they settled on an agent platform where basically anyone can, it's sort of turnkey. You can go in, create an agent on their platform, and they will, if it hits a certain cap, it'll mint. And basically that agent will post on X for you. They've got a Telegram integration where you can interact with this agent on Telegram, and that's their core platform that they have. And with that, they've got a huge team of engineers now. The protocol's at like a 6 billion valuation, fully diluted, because they launched 4 years ago, or mostly fully diluted. I think maybe they've locked up their team tokens longer or whatever. But anyway, they've got a huge amount of money, a huge amount of runway, a very, very large team of machine learning engineers, data scientists, and they did an integration with Roblox where they basically took some of their agents and brought them to life. And we looked at that and we said, hey, I said to them, we're just about to, announce this MMO Lite. You have this GAME framework, which is their gaming AI framework, where you can basically create these sentient beings out of your NPCs and potentially even things like Leviathans when it comes to us. And so we just got to discussing, and it's a vertical that I said to them, this would be absolutely huge. I think in the next 2-3 years, the AI space inside of gaming is going to be just massive. And so I said to them, look, you're obviously thinking about this. You've already done this integration in Roblox. And they said, yeah, we're building a huge team where they can basically continue to develop this framework. And I said, could this be something that you work with us on? And they were like, absolutely. We're trying to find a partner inside of Web3. It makes sense with you guys because, you're such a large IP and our previous history. And so, yeah, this was a few months ago now. And as we build this out and let them know, it's probably going to start with just NPCs, and then this will slowly develop into the potential of you going in and having a dynamic experience with a boss. So instead of you just going in and having the exact same experience, the exact same combat strategy that you did previously, everything is dynamic. So you can't use the same strategy twice and get the exact same result, which I think in terms of like replayability inside of a video game is huge. To think that, and actually what we were just speaking about on Paul Barron's network is NVIDIA has just released a version of this similar type of framework where exactly what we're talking about. Where imagine going into World of Warcraft, you're playing against you're going into a raid against this boss, and it's a completely different situation based on the team composition that comes in. Do they have more defense? Do they have more attack? And it dynamically learns which different unit to attack on the enemy's team. So you get much smarter NPCs and bosses that you come up against. And I think us dipping our toe into the water here, it's still very, very early, but it's something that it fits exactly into the genre that we have in terms of this overworld MMO. And so and they're about to spend tens of millions of dollars on the research and development to build this framework. So it just makes sense. I think it's a partnership that has a lot of potential to bring our game to the next level.
Definitely big, exciting partnership. Yeah, lots of people were very excited to hear about that. Definitely, and as I said, Kieran's going to be on another AMA or roundtable with these guys tomorrow over virtuals and a few other projects that are going to be there. I think we retweeted it on X, so if you want to check that out, it's at 6 a.m. my time, so just over 12 hours. But yeah, I think that's most of the questions. And as I said, we got started a little bit late, so unfortunately, I kind of I kind of got a dip. But we covered most of the questions, and as I said, as far as the MMO like questions, we'll do another town hall. Once that game design document is more fleshed out, and we can get you guys some more solid answers on that. But yeah, I mean, the only other question that was kind of a fun one, but it was is LuvaFest still planned for 2025?
Let's just say it's on hold for now. However, we may have something. We may have one little thing. It's not fully confirmed yet, but yeah, we're thinking about something. If it's cost effective enough, there may be some event that people could attend around the relaunch of Gauntlet and when we start going mainstream with that. But it's not confirmed
All
yet.
right. Well, I don't mind going to Australia again, so just let me know.
Not in,
Okay.
it's not in Australia.
What?
Anything, it'll
But
be
no
in the US.
US? Come on. California is real close from me. Go. Actually, we're on fire right now, so. But all right, I think yeah, we'll call it there. And then Kieran, I appreciate you coming out, and yeah, like I said, community, I appreciate you guys coming out and bringing the questions. And we will do another one of these in February. We're what, on the 8th today, so we'll have another one in February, maybe one before if we get that MMO light stuff. But yeah, this is recorded on X, YouTube, everywhere you want to watch it, so you guys can go back and check it out. And yeah, I'll be playing some more Arena later today. Also, the podcast tomorrow with me and Jackson. It starts just an hour in 23 hours, basically. The podcast with me and Jackson. We're going to try and do the loaded raffle there. So if you guys participated in that loaded raffle, or you bought a G-Shock disc and opened it, you're in. And we'll hopefully do the drawing tomorrow. We're having a little bit of trouble parsing all the people. But yeah, hopefully should do that tomorrow live for you guys. Give out some prizes tomorrow for that. And then, yeah, we'll cover some other good events and stuff going on the podcast tomorrow. But we'll wrap up the town hall here. Thank you guys for coming out. Kieran, appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.